Hello and welcome to Pray for the Gods. So this is a game by No Matter Games. Have I got that right? Yes, No Matter Studios. That's what it is. And the tagline for the game is your only chance to survive is to destroy the very gods you believe in. So I came across this quite a few years back. I remember seeing some early gameplay footage, and I think then there was some early access a few years before it came out, but on PC. And then I kind of forgot about this, and then saw that it is on the PS5 now, which is pretty cool. Released back in 2021, so actually quite a while back. Maybe during the whole lockdown thing, I kind of got distracted from keeping track of this game. But the main reason I was interested is because it looks very inspired by Shadow of the Colossus, where you have these giant enemies, these monsters, or, well, I guess, or giants, or indeed colossi, as they were in Shadow of the Colossus, and you climb on them and attack them in their weak points, and it's almost like a puzzle, just these boss battles. And actually, I'm never really a fan of boss battles, but the way they did it in Shadow of the Colossus, I think because it was puzzle-like and it felt adventurous, you know, how do I get on them? Where do I climb to? Where's the weak point? It's just incredible. And this is definitely very inspired by that, but in a snowy, wintry setting, kind of Nordic looking as well. You can see with the fonts there, kind of a Nordic style font. And so that piqued my interest even more. I mean, that whole game mechanic of climbing on monsters, I've only seen before in Shadow of the Colossus, of course. I don't know if that was the first to ever do something like that, or to do it to that extent as a main part of the gameplay. I feel like it was. And then I saw it a bit later in Dragon's Dogma, which is pretty cool, you know, climbing on dragons and the other monsters in that, you know, in a fantasy world setting, fantasy RPG setting. That did it very well too. And so, yeah, I feel like it's something more games should do, but they don't. But this one has, and so I am very interested to see what it's like. So I have heard that there were some criticisms of this, I guess, final release, this PS5 release, being a bit buggy. Some issues, I think people said, with movement or some glitches. I'm hoping anything jarring has been patched out, and I guess I'll see how it is, you know. I think, actually, I didn't check how big a dev team there is on this, but I feel like this is definitely, it's more of an indie game, so probably a smallish team. So I think you kind of have to give a little bit of slack for any issues, but we'll see what I find. So also the name Pray for the Gods, so it's actually written as it is on the PS5 store as Praey, because originally they just wanted to call the game Pray for the Gods, but you know, with the word play of the homophone of pray, as in to pray to God and to be the prey for a predator, but which is pretty nice title actually. But they were threatened. I don't know if they were threatened of getting sued or they were just told. I don't know. But the copyright for another game of Prey, I think ZeniMax Studios, is that right? So that came out around the same time, I think. So they claimed that they had the copyright for Prey because their game was called simply Prey, which, I mean, to me, feels a bit... I mean, to claim copyright for a single word, that just feels, yeah, a little bit absurd to me. Because it's not... If someone else, called their game Praey, exactly the same. Indeed, the game Praey that was claiming this, there was a previous game called Praey, but I guess they must have bought the rights to that. When was it from? From 2006. Because I always thought maybe it was a sequel, but I don't think it has really anything to do with it. Where it's a Native American guy gets abducted by alien. Really cool game, actually. I actually played that not long ago. Really fantastic. I haven't played the more recent Praey game, so I don't know why that was allowed. Anyway, but I feel like if they wanted to call this Praey, okay, maybe dispute it. But Praey for the Gods, it's a very different title. It's just using an English word. So I guess they're a bigger studio and they kind of intimidated the smaller indie studio. I don't really like that very much. Not cool, but you know, I guess they chose to rename to PAE, which is a kind of a cool solution. And if you look at the E, well, it would be AE, but they've stylized the writing here with the praying lady there that basically looks like an E. So I'm kind of, yeah, they kind of like, yeah, pray for the gods. That's what we wanted to call our game. We're going to do that in the writing. So, you know, good for them for actually stylizing it like that. Because, you know, I mean, copyright claiming just a singular word just feels really off. I feel like No Man's Sky had a similar thing with the word sky, because obviously Sky TV claimed the copyright for that. Something like that, I'm sure. But I think they fought it and won, because again, No Man's Sky is very different to just sky. And yeah, you kind of have to let people just use English words. Can't just copyright entire words. I mean, what if someone decided to call their game, you know, like there was the Stephen King game, book and film, It, you know, if they copyrighted It. I'm like, no, you could never use It in your title, or even The. Imagine wanted to do some sort of horror game where it's the, and like, oh no, it's copyrighted now, you can't use The. It's just ridiculous. But anyway, that's perhaps going off on a bit of a tangent. So back to, you know, what is Praey for the Gods? So from what I understand, fighting these big colossi, giants, I guess they're the gods that we have to destroy. And I don't know anything about our main character, our protagonist, other than it's a female character. Don't know what her deal is, what her story is. And oh yes, there are some survival elements to this game. I think with cold and hunger and managing stamina and things like that. And maybe I think some smaller enemies, perhaps. Oh yeah, maybe some hunting here and there. I guess that plays in with the food and survival thing. So yeah, I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna get on with that, because I like survival elements in games in theory, but actually in practice I find I forget to keep track of the things like the hunger and the cold and stuff, and I get caught up in the adventure and then I forget, and then it's just actually kind of annoying. So I think there's some options. Well, in fact, I'll look now at the settings. I think there's some settings for... Where have we got? Actually, what are the language options? Oh, quite a lot. In fact, yeah, I don't think there's voice acting in this game. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe there is. It'll surprise me. I think because it's a, you know, a smaller indie game. What have we got actually here for the graphics? Use optimal settings for What is chromatic aberration? I have no idea what that is. Oh. Well, it's defaulted to activated. Use optimal settings. And I can't seem to... Okay, I can just click on that. Motion blur, I'm going to turn that right down. Because I'm not a fan of motion blur. And... Is that stayed as is? Yeah. And... Oh yeah, controller settings, because I was looking at this before. I think I found what I preferred is... Yeah, number 4. So we got jump with X, climb with the... Yeah, sprint with the left bumper rather than hitting the trigger. I think I prefer that. I don't mind sprint on left trigger if you just hit it and then you start sprinting. But left bumper is nice. I think I'll go with that. And then graphics I did. So yeah, in the options, is there an option here for... No, there isn't. That must be when starting up the game you choose the difficulty. So yeah, I guess I'll figure that out when I start up how, because I know I can adjust how the impact of the survival settings in the game. I'm probably going to reduce the impact a fair amount. Because what I find, I really like realism in the sense of, you know, things like damage effects on characters, or if they're injured, they move slowly or move differently, or you actually seeing the weapons and gear that they have with them on the character, and as you add or take away from that, I really love that in a game where it has that element of realism. But things like eating and sleeping, I feel like that works for me when it's more like it's a boost. So if you eat, it gives a boost to your stats, but you don't die from not eating or cold. I think at some of the settings you can do that within this game. So oh yes, the climb, yeah, I think definitely want manual. So here is a thing. So we've got cinematic side offset. Oh yeah, so this is with the camera. I was looking at this in some when I was testing this. Basically the camera just moving off to the side rather than always being behind the play, and it seems to be pretty dynamic, I want to say, and it works pretty well actually, and feels pretty cinematic. Now here is brilliant that the game devs have put in the camera distance option. I feel like all game, like first person games should always have a field of view option. I think third person games should always have a distance, camera distance option. So I think that's at max, right? Yeah, I think all the way to the right is the widest distance, and lock on requires enemies. Okay, yeah. And yeah, then we've got a field of view option as well. Now, it's unusual for me to be turning this down, but it actually feels pretty wide with this, and actually being able to have the camera distance quite far sort of helps that, I guess, negates a little bit the need for a wider field of view. But I absolutely love the devs for putting this in. So many, I feel like it should just be a default option in all game options. They should always have field of view and camera distance, just so you know you can have like the developer's vision. You can say, wow, the default how you meant to play it is this. Like often they say with difficulty, they say normal difficulty, this is how the, you know, they'll have a brackets, this is how the game is meant to be played. You're like, okay, that's the way it's meant to be. Do the same with the camera, I think. You know, this is the way we want you to view it, but if you want to change it, you know, have at it. So what is this? Oh, so I think I want to do hold for the boss shake. And what is this preset? Oh, okay, for the color palette, I guess. Auto hide. I'll sort of see how I go with that. Auto hide always show disabled. Okay, yeah, I'll see how I go with that in the game. Lock-on requires enemies. Yeah, adaptive trigger. Yeah, may as well go with that. And I think that is good. Yeah, ready to rock. So that's all I have to say before getting started with part 1 of our adventure. I'm really enjoying this music actually here. It's really just the right amount of kind of foreboding and a little bit epic, and it really gives this idea of a mysterious land and fighting the gods or something like that. So yeah, I'm excited to get into this and see what it's like. I hope it's good. I hope you'll come join me for part 1, and I hope you'll enjoy. So, see you soon. Bye bye for now.